It is time to jump into our movie review in Throwback Thursdays. All right, you guys, it is Throwback Thursdays. Today is Thursday. It is that day of the week where we revisit a film that came out a year ago. We asked the question, does it still hold up? Is it as good as we remember, or is it as bad as we remember? Depending on the film, that's a huge spectrum there. Today's film Nick and I will be reviewing is the 2019 winner of, Best Picture, Parasite. Nick, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I thought this was absolutely spectacular. I remember just before going into the theater thinking, okay, like, people have been saying some pretty good things about this. I'm looking forward to seeing it myself, and offering my 2 cents about it. And then pretty much halfway through the movie, I was thinking, this is a great movie. And then it took a huge turn, and I thought, this is not just a good movie, this is a great movie. This is an absolutely fantastic film that everybody has to see. When was the last time that you saw Parasite? Okay, great. I absolutely love this film. I thought it was spectacular. But I would just love to jump right in without giving too many spoilers away. If you still haven't seen the film, we highly, highly recommend go watch Parasite.
Yes.
Because it's the kind of film that even my mother was interested in. My mom is not into like weird, twisty, mind-bendy kind of movies. Not that this is a mind-bending movie, but there's a point in the movie that you think you're going along this trajectory, and then it takes a sharp left turn. Cool, awesome. Let's just jump right in and talk about the acting. The acting of this movie I thought was spectacular. First of all, this is a Korean film, written, directed, and produced in South Korea. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. The acting was so on par. The way the actors played the characters it was believable, but also they did it in a way that we, the viewing audience, had a personal connection with them. You cared about the characters from their portrayals. I mean, every film has, some level of good acting or bad acting, or you can point to a certain thing as long as the story's good, even if it has bad acting, okay, yeah, you can still have a personal connection. This had great writing, and it had great acting in it. Nick, what are your thoughts about the acting in the film?
That was incredible. Everybody hit the mark. You felt for every character. You got a sense for every character, no matter how little or how much they were on screen. You saw the dynamics of the family, whether it was the poor family, the other family, like just every aspect of it. It was so clear, the intentions. And yeah, it's a thing for you to feel for everybody and to really get everything. And they really told that story. I mean, everyone was amazing. I'm kind of upset that there wasn't any Oscar nominations for actors for the acting in it, because they were
That's
so
true.
incredible.
There wasn't.
No, there wasn't, and they really should have. They really should have.
Yeah, wholeheartely. I think when I think about the acting of this film, I keep going back to the movie Mulholland Drive.
Yeah.
There's a moment, like the first half of the film, the acting is terrible. And I remember the first time I was watching this film, the acting was so bad, I almost turned it off because I thought, everybody raves about Mulholland Drive and how great it is. And then there was this one moment in the film, and it's really small, and everything turns, everything changes in this one tiny little moment, and then the acting gets incredible. And then you get to the end of the film and you realize, oh, the acting was bad on purpose. It makes narrative sense. And I'm not going to say that the acting in the first half of this film was bad. It wasn't. But the actors take you on this one journey of a poor family leeching or becoming a parasite off of a more affluent family. And you just kind of think, oh, okay, well, this is, this is what they're doing. I don't say meh, but this is what they're doing. And so they're acting in a way that is in accordance with what they want most in the world. and then the weird thing happens. I'm not going to say what the weird thing is. And then everything changes in their acting style that gets, you've been on this journey with them, and then now you understand why they do the things that they do from an emotional standpoint. And when the crazy comes, it was brilliant. I absolutely loved it. Nick, do you have any last thoughts to say about acting before we move on?
I'm just, again, I agree with everything you said. It was incredible. They told such a story, and I just love how it was because, which we'll probably get to, of like the story of the written part of it, is it seems like kind of almost like a heist, like a comedy at points, like a heist at point. Then it becomes like almost like a horror, like it switches up in so many aspects. And I think the acting keeps up with that. They don't ever we don't know what movie, or they know what movie they're in the whole time. And it's amazing.
There was one little section towards the beginning of the film where they're still kind of like getting established. I guess you could say the main character, the eldest son, is meeting with a friend of his, and that whole scene to propel the story. That scene was extremely important because without that story, we wouldn't have the foundation to move on with the film. That scene, it laid a little flat for me, and we'll talk about it in directing, we'll talk about it in writing, but also in acting. But that was the only part of the movie that I was like meh about, and for that reason, I'm gonna give acting a 19 out of 20. I thought it was phenomenal. All right, so let's go into directing. Everything in this movie is interconnected, so we're just going to be crossing genres the whole time. The pacing of the film was perfect. I dare say perfect. The tone of the film was it was flawless. Because again, you think you're watching one movie, kind of like a comedy heist, as you put it, and then this weird thing happens and everything changes, and the tone changes, the pacing changes, but it changes in a way that feels natural. It feels earned. Cinematography was beautiful. The only problem that I had with the directing at all, even the visual effects, I mean, there were very, very minimal visual effects here, but even they were spectacular. The only problem that I had, again, it was that scene where the eldest son gets together with his friend and says, here's this story point that we need to go off on. It seemed a little dragged out. It was losing my interest just a hair, and I knocked a point off the top for that. But Nick, directing overall, what are your general thoughts?
It was so fluid with everything, and the visuals, and how many like little Easter eggs, and how they show the differences between the families just visually, without having to telegraph it too much, without hitting you over the head.
Yeah.
You get so much.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And how good a director, like that's just great direction. And yeah, the cinematography was beautiful.
So yeah, we have great acting, we have great directing, and for all of that stuff combined, we're giving directing a 19 out of 20. Let's move on to writing. This was one of my favorite parts of the movie, was just the script. I love the dialogue. I love how the story unfolds. I like seeing the characters interact with each other in a way that, again, it feels natural. It feels earned. It's this. The whole film is based on the premise of there's this really poor family. There's this the friend of the oldest son says, "Hey, I teach English to this one family. I'm moving to Chicago to move on with my life." That was a bit of a throwaway, kind of like, man, this doesn't matter. But it also is the thing that propels the story. This affluent family needs somebody to come in and teach their eldest daughter English, and then that's where the story picks up. It's a really clever concept. I love the direction, again, the tone, the pacing, the writing was phenomenal. Again, the only problem that I have is that one scene where the eldest son and his best friend get together and say, "Hey, I need you to, start teaching English to this family, or to the daughter." That scene seemed a little dragged out for me. I knocked a couple of points off the top. Nick, where do you stand with the writing?
I think it's great. Again, I agree with it. Like, great story. The dialogue was well written. Everyone was so, like, it was all so natural. and it really told the story. I really didn't have a problem with that scene that you didn't like that much. I think it was well done. I think it shows the differences between the classes with these two boys, and then you just see the start of like everything of like, you know, the son comes in next person, and then, you know, you think the movie's going one way and then it just changes again, and for that to be in the script as well as the directing and the acting is incredible. So yeah.
Oh no, I totally agree with everything you're saying. I just felt like that scene was a little dragged out. I think they could have maybe shortened it up a little bit. I didn't feel as engaged with the film as I did in that particular scene, and so that's why for writing, I did knock a couple of points off. I gave it an 18 out of 20. It's still a fantastic script. It's a fantastic story. The way that it's laid out in the end, again, I can't say anything about the ending, but woof, like it was. Everything there was just incredible. Yeah. Takeaway. The overall takeaway of the film. What's the message of the film? What is it that we as the audience can learn from this story? Before I jump into this, Nick, I want to hear what your takeaway of the film was.
Well, I think it's interesting because a movie like that, and you can go see, you know, you can show me any goofy, fun, over the top movie, and I'll be like, hey, I enjoyed that. And then sometimes there is a movie with a message, and I felt like this one had a very powerful message, and it dealt a lot with like class systems and like how people are affected differently, and how, like, you know, and it's something that we're seeing now in our everyday life, especially what's going on in the world, like how economic standings is really like how some people, when they're on top, they don't realize what's happening below them and how that all can trickle down. And you see how just little things can influence everybody around you, and how hard it is to get to the top once you're down. Like, it's not an easy thing to rise up. Yeah. And it just had so many symbols and symbology to it all, and the way the families worked and like the relationships. And I mean, the thing is about a movie like this, I remember when it came out, I didn't see it right away, but I had everybody like, you have to see it. And when a movie gets hyped up that much, it's always kind of like, oh, I wish you didn't tell me anything.
It becomes dangerous, yeah.
Yeah, it becomes dangerous, because I've done that and I've seen a movie and then been like, it's okay. But this lived up to the hype. And I've had other people where I've told them, you know, it's worth it. And they come out and they go, wow, yeah, you're right. That was totally worth the hype. And it does. It lives up to it because it's incredible.
Well, for me, the thing that I, like you were talking about symbology, I love the name of the film, Parasite, because it takes on so many different meanings the further into the film that you get.
Yeah.
You have this poor family who is mooching off of an affluent family. You come to realize and find out you have an affluent family who is mooching off of, you know, the lower class system. You have again, I can't like that.
Yeah. Parasite has a lot of meaning in it.
A lot of meaning there. A lot of meaning. I'm a huge sucker for cautionary tales, and I think this is a fantastic cautionary tale from a 360-degree perspective. And for that reason, given the overall takeaway a 19 out of 20. All right, it's time for the last category of the film, effectiveness. How effective was this movie? How well did they work together? What was it the studio was trying to say? What is the filmmakers were trying to say, along with the actors and the writer and the storytelling? Did they accomplish the goal that they set out to do? I contend, not only did they accomplish the goal that they set out to do, they crushed it. I think they blew apart their own expectations for this movie. I feel that they wanted to say something interesting and something poignant and have a lot of meaning and symbolism behind it. And I think this took on a brand new cultural meaning that they didn't foresee happening. Do you have a different insight to that?
No, I agree with you. I think that they, like you said, they 100% went for what they wanted to do. Everything they set out, they did. And like you said, not only did they do it, but they crushed it. Like they blew it out of the water. I think it's rare. There's great films out there. There's amazing films out there. There's films that I can watch over and over again, but it's a rare thing when a film is as perfect as this one is. And it just really they got their message out. They got the story out. They had an amazing cast, this ensemble that worked together. The director told his story. He had his visuals. He had everything he wanted done. He worked meticulously on it to do that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it shows the work is all there. And I just think it's
and the marketing as well. I don't know if you mentioned the marketing, but like just getting the word out to everybody and saying like, this is, they said like an A through, I don't know, I'm going to pick an ambiguous letter, M. How about A through M? They said, this is what the film is. This is your expectation for it. This is what you should take away from it. And then the rest of the audience was the one who filled in the blanks of N through Z. Like, we all just rose up in unison to say how fantastic this film was. All of that is to say, overall effectiveness, I don't think there's any other film that could have done it better. 20 out of 20. It was perfect. So all of that together, the 19, the 19, the 18, the 19, and the 20, add that all up together, and that equals...
What's with you? Yesterday you were normal, and today you're like the Chinese guy from The Karate Kid. What's with you today?
What's with today?
That's right, a 95 out of 100. That's where I'm scoring this. I'm saying Parasite is a 95 out of 100. I think this is a fantastic film. Nick, 95 out of 100. Do you think that's too low, or do you think that's spot on?
I'd probably give that movie 100 out of 100.
Okay.
But I think 95 out of 100 is a good average for it. Like, I think there's a lot of people that would be like, yeah, that's about right. I'm not gonna fight over 5 more points or so.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, but I think that's an accurate. I think I would be like, yeah, that makes sense.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, what did you think of Parasite? Did you have a chance to see it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Are you somewhere in between? Jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. And also, do you think 95 is too low of a score? Do you think, like as Nick said, do you think this deserves 100, a 99, or is it just not even worth quibbling about? As we said, jump down to the comment section below. Let us know your thoughts. All right, guys.